Hey warrior, welcome to today's video. We're going to continue our talk on habits, and in this video, we're going to talk about the 7 steps to breaking a habit that you no longer want to continue with. So for the purpose of our topic, we're going to be talking about stopping binge eating, stopping using food as a coping mechanism, stopping overeating, over-consuming food when it's not what you actually need. So this is a concept, a method that's put together by Tony Robbins, and it's kind of his method on habits and how to break addictions, break up with bad habits. And we're going to take our cue from Tony Robbins, master motivational speaker, basically phenomenal mindset worker, all of that. I feel like these 7 steps clearly put out and help you start to understand and look at the science behind how to actually start breaking up with specifically pinpointing these particular binge eating habits, whether it's nighttime eating, binge eating during the day, or binge eating out of stress or an emotional charge. No matter what the reason is, no matter what the reason for the urge is, we can start to use these 7 steps to catch all of those things and interrupt our pattern. We talked a couple of lessons ago about the nourishment aspect and about the starvation aspect and how the body can make this urge to binge based on psychology or physiology. So what we're going to talk about here, will kind of cover a little bit of both. It depends on the step, but I think this comes more from the psychological perspective. So we want to continue to make sure that you are nourishing yourself, that you are eating enough, and that you are working on consuming nourishing foods, those 3 nourishing meals throughout the day, and then adding in nourishing snacks when you feel like you need them. So the first step we're going to talk about tonight is something, it's not new. It's actually probably the most boring one. It's not boring at all, but it is be aware of what you really need. So learning to come to asking yourself, what is it that you really need in the moment that you are experiencing a binge urge? Is it comfort? Is it connection? Is it actually hungry for calories and energy? Are you feeling lonely? Are you needing a sense of certainty? Are you using the pattern as a way to just what you do to get back to sleep at night? Is it something that you use to kind of escape from a hard situation or an uncomfortable emotion or something you just don't know how to handle? Is it a numbing out? Is it something that you do for comfort, to just relax? So being aware and really starting to get clear on what is it that I really need in this moment that I am turning to food for fill in the blank. I think this takes a lot of reflection. And I do think it becomes clearer over time, or maybe you already have a very clear vision of what it is, reason why you choose to do binge eating or other sort of compulsive things to fill that void, fill that need, instead of actually giving yourself the thing that you need. And we will continue this discussion in phase 2 of partnership, because that's about coming into partnership with your body and trusting and really coming to accept how you can start to fulfill those needs. But in the meantime, we can at least become more aware of them, start to acknowledge them, and then maybe try and add some things in to fulfill those needs from the start. The second thing, the second step, we'll call it, is having a strong why and getting some leverage. So your leverage is making your why the reason why you want this change in the first place, the reason why you want to stop using food, the reason why you want to stop binge eating, the reason why you want to experience a healthy relationship with food. what food freedom means to you. It means not fill in the blank. Everyone has their own really compelling why. And the more you make friends with that why, the more you get to know that why, the more you allow yourself to feel what it would feel like when that comes to fruition, is such a driving motivator. And that in and of itself is leverage. It's a pulling sort of leverage. Like, my why is because when I stop abusing food and I stop using food and binge eating, I will finally be able to enjoy a meal, get through a day without thinking about all the things about this food and why I shouldn't eat it or what I should be eating. Food won't control me anymore. I'll be free and I'll have my mind clear to be present, figure out what I like to do again and actually do it. Get my energy up, be able to be an example for my kids, be excited to get up, have energy in the morning, get up and do the things that I know make me feel good. And when I overeat, I know that it drains me of that energy. So having that strong why, and your leverage is making that why an immediate need. Like, if I don't do this, if I don't make a healthy choice right now, if I don't choose not binging right now, something bad's gonna happen. Making it that deep, like that intense. Leverage creates immediate pain for not changing, and it also creates immediate pleasure for changing in this moment now. It's powerful. It creates that sense of urgency. So, for example, if your why is because you want to enjoy moments and stop missing moments of your life to binge eating, a leverage could be, if I binge eat today, I'm going to have low energy later. And I won't be able to hang out with my family or my friends in the event that we have later today. And then I'll feel bad for canceling last minute. I'll feel bad for bailing last minute. Or I go and I just want to completely just not even really be there. And by doing something else, not there yet. So having that leverage to really feel like, if I binge now, I am going to miss moments of my life. I'm going to miss this particular moment. I really want to be with my friend. I really want to spend time with my family. And if I binge now, I just won't be able to experience it in the same way. That could be an immediate pain point for you, and really going there. An immediate pleasure could be by doing something else to not binge, to do something else in place of acting on this binge urge. Just knowing that you kept your word to yourself, that you pushed yourself through a challenge, you met it, you stepped up, and you were able to overcome it in that moment. And then being really intentional about the time that you get to spend now with your family and friends, because you know how hard you had to work to even get to that moment. It may feel harder in the beginning, as everything does, but the more you sort of play it forward, let's call it that. Let's call it play it forward. We'll play forward what would happen if you did engage in the binge urge, and then we'll play forward if you did not. And you can put yourself in both of those situations to really feel what it would feel like to be at the end of either of those scenarios. The lasting leverage will work every single time, and I want you to find yours. Okay, so the third step is to interrupt destructive habits and patterns. So in our case, the destructive pattern would be binge eating, overeating, nighttime eating. So this is like having the experience of sitting down, watching TV, and eating ice cream. And every time you eat ice cream, it ends up leading into a binge. Or every time you sit down to watch TV, it ends up snowballing into this overeating episode where you can't really stop yourself, and it in of itself triggers you to overdo it. So this memory that you have every single time you sit down in front of the TV at 9 p.m. at night, and all of a sudden your brain's like, ooh, ice cream, ooh, snacks, is an ingrained habit. That is part of what we want to break. Not because you can't ever have ice cream while you watch TV, but right now, it is like, if you don't have ice cream while you watch TV, it's really uncomfortable. It's like something bad is happening. It's like, this feels like I'm being, you're taking it from me and I'm sacrificing this and I'm losing out. And that is not the experience that we want to feel when we choose to not have the ice cream with the TV. So the memory of every time you have ice cream with TV is so strongly ingrained that it's literally a pattern in your brain that you have to completely change the direction of in order to avoid overdoing it and binge eating. So this is the same with any habit. Smoking, drinking, there's always a pattern. There's a ritual to our habits, and we are talking about this. We're talking about like the 4 parts to a habit. We have the trigger, we have the craving, we have the habit itself, and we have the reward. So to choose an activity that's directly opposite of what you would normally do and make that your new pattern is one way to combat interrupting these destructive habits. So let's just say 9 p.m., it's your go-to to sit in front of the TV and start eating. Then what would make the most sense? We have a few options. We could choose not to watch TV at all. That's one thing, because that in and of itself is triggering us. We could choose to have a different food. That's another option. We could do something completely the opposite. So if sitting and watching TV is your act of leisure, maybe we do something completely different, like moving your body, or taking a walk, or doing something else to unwind. Ultimately, if your desire is to unwind and relax, sitting in front of the TV and eating is not the only way that you can achieve that reward. There are other things, other activities, other things that you can do that may give you the same experience or an even more relaxed experience. Because I think at the end of the day, we know that the binge eating doesn't really relax us. It doesn't really soothe us. It actually makes everything worse. So maybe we could meet that need in a better way. This is something that we'll have to work at. We're going to get to how to replace interrupting the habit with something so that it's not just leaving this gaping hole. So it's not just leaving this empty void where you're like, this is where I used to binge eat and now I'm not doing anything. And now I'm just sitting here looking into space, because we don't want, right? We don't want to feel like removing that activity, which gives you a reward, is just gone. And then we're in withdrawal and then we're like, I need the thing. We need to replace it with something that's going to, one, give you the same reward or better, and make it empowering. Make it an empowering choice, one that you feel really good about doing and is not just in reaction to a primal urge. With me? Awesome. Okay, so that's gonna lead us into our number 4, which is the empowering alternative. So we talked about not having this void when we interrupt our pattern that we know is not serving us. But how do we fill that void? And what do we even do about that void? So I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, because they remove something that they know is not serving them, but they still have an attachment to, and don't replace it with something that is equally as rewarding or better. And they replace it with something that feels like a sacrifice or makes them feel like they are losing out. And they're also not connected with what their body really needs. So all of that comes into play with this empowering alternative, but everything we do is an experiment, right? So this is about trying things on, trying it on again, shifting it around a little bit and seeing how you feel as you do it and being open to that. So if you think about this analogy of putting a nail into, like hammering a nail into a plank, and you're nailing one nail and then you go to the next nail and then you put in another nail and then you put in another nail, and you're trying to make this plank actually stay on the wall, but you lose the last nail. Are you just gonna leave it nailless? No, you're gonna get another nail and you're gonna hammer that nail in. And for our purposes, that other nail that we pick up and use to fill that void is going to be a stronger nail, is going to be a more empowering nail, and is going to make that board stay on the wall better than any other nail that we could have tried before, eventually. So, I lost my spot. So an example that I can give for myself when I was overcoming my binge eating habit was because nighttime eating was something that was like my best friend and my worst enemy. It was hard to break up with it. I wanted to stop, but every single night when that time came around, I just wanted comfort. I just wanted something to make me feel good in the moment because I just felt so bad. And a combination of that was being tired, being alone, not having connection, true connection with others, with myself. So I did need to honor those needs, but I did try different things on. So my empowering alternative was a really great, just like shower and like using really good body scrub that smelled really, really so yummy, like mango, sugar, coconut scrub. Oh my gosh, so good. And I would do a skincare routine, and I would really take my time and listen and feel into that. I would also listen to great music, and that would put me in a good mood, and that helped replace my old habit of sitting in front of the TV and nighttime eating. Another thing that I would do as an empowering alternative was to honor the connection need that I was craving. Is I would call a friend, or I would message friends online, and I would just start a conversation, and that already just made me feel more connected, more just loved and cared for. So I did that. Other things that I would do were make an effort to spend time with my family. At that time, I was living at home, and I would kind of retreat to my room and eat in secret and just watch TV there and fall asleep when, I couldn't anymore. But I had to really challenge myself to do it, but even having more of a conversation with my mom or my sister, just being in the same room as them, having the company of others' energy at home was helpful many nights to fill what I felt was a void. And eventually everything that I was trying, like some things worked, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes it would really work for, it would help me get through the urges for a few days in a row, and I would really feel in momentum, and that was very positive and empowering for me and gave me a lot of really good feedback, made me feel like, all right, I'm doing this, I can do this. Like if I can do it once, I can do it again. Even if I fall back, even if I have a relapse, I can do this again. And it really helps me learn what I needed. And maybe different nights I needed different things, and that was okay. It could be as simple as drinking a tall glass of water. It's empowering to do good things for your body. And as simple as it sounds, finishing this bottle of water, or 3 of them rather, for the day makes me feel so proud of myself. It really makes me feel like I'm making healthy choices. I'm doing it. So cheers to making healthy choices.